Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Sophie Erber. The number of migrant children in U.S. custody has nearly tripled in 2 months. Now a group of governors are demanding federal action, and we have the details in our top story at 5. The number of migrant crossings has reached its highest count in nearly 20 years, with more than 172,000 encounters. 20 governors, including those here in Iowa, Nebraska, and South Dakota, have issued a joint letter urging President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris to take immediate action on this crisis. The letter claims the Biden administration is fueling it while putting the burden on states to house these migrant children, a request denied by all 3 Siouxland governors. This letter reads in part, quote, even officials of our neighbor, Mexico, reportedly conveyed concerns that the shift in U.S. policy is stoking illegal immigration and creating business for organized crime, end quote. Customs and Border Patrol data has showed that a 233% increase in seizures of fentanyl happened over the past year. Well, Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds announced an end to its participation in that federal pandemic-related unemployment benefit program. The state of Iowa will continue, of course, to provide regular unemployment insurance benefits to those who are eligible. The supplemental unemployment benefits were an additional $600 per week, but in recent months were decreased to $300. Governor Reynolds stated that, quote, now that our businesses and schools have reopened, these payments are discouraging people from returning to work, end quote. KCAU 9 reporter Jason Toktagian will show reactions to this decision from local Siouxlanders coming up tonight at 10. One way to get more people to apply for jobs and to increase wages is for those job prices to go up. Now, Tyson Foods has decided to do just that. Despite offering raises and more flexible scheduling, Tyson Foods says that its absentee rate is 50% higher than it was pre-pandemic. The company blames health concerns and child care issues, as well as government stimulus payments and enhanced unemployment benefits. Tyson's executives have yet to say how much this pay raise will be. This year's Saturday in the Park is set for early July, as usual, and we will be announcing the musical headliners coming up tonight during your KCAU 9 News at 10. The music will span over the course of 2 days, and of course, COVID-19 precautions will be in place at the event. So tune in later tonight to get the scoop. Once the announcement is made, everything will, of course, be posted online for you to check out again. That is SiouxlandProud.com, or you can click this story on the KCAU 9 mobile news app. Members of the Senate held a hearing to examine constitutional and common sense efforts to prevent gun violence. Their words. KCAU 9 Washington correspondent Basil John reports on lawmakers' thoughts during this hearing.
They look like a gun, they shoot like a gun, they kill like a gun.
This is a made-up problem.
Tuesday, Republicans and Democrats stood their ground as they took part in a hearing on homemade firearms.
There is no reason, none, to treat ghost guns differently than any other gun.
Connecticut Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal says kits and 3D printers make it too easy for anyone to gain access to firearms.
They lack serial numbers, and they are purchased, importantly, without a background check.
Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro says it is up to Congress and the federal government to make a difference.
We know they're being used to kill people on the streets of our communities. And this body has the power to do something about it.
While Democrats support legislation to make it harder to build firearms, Republicans say ghost guns aren't a real problem.
And yet here we are having a congressional hearing pretending that so-called ghost guns are a major issue.
Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz says there are other issues around gun violence that Congress can and should focus on instead of ghost guns.
Homemade firearms aren't any more dangerous than any other firearms. And for all relevant purposes, homemade firearms are treated like any other firearm under the law.
Cruz says the bill does nothing except target law-abiding citizens and won't stop criminals. Reporting in Washington, I'm Basil John.
Iowans now have the ability to order and drink an alcoholic beverage without ever leaving their homes. Governor Kim Reynolds signed House File 766 into law on Monday of this week, which now officially allows restaurants and bars with liquor licenses to deliver alcoholic beverages through their own services, or even a third party like DoorDash or Grubhub. The assistant manager of 1008 Key Club tells us that this allows them to catch up on some lost revenue by adding another way to cater to their customers.
We could always fill up the bar here, get all of our sales that we normally get, but also cater to the people that are sitting at home who don't feel like going out, or people that are doing parties at home.
And KCAU 9's Lydia Vasquez will have that full story coming up tonight at 6. And it's time now for our first check on the weather. Meteorologist Marcus Beasley standing by. Marcus, one of those days where when you were in the sun, it felt nice, but really quite chilly again for mid-May now.
That's right, Sophie. We had temperatures today in the upper 50s and lower 60s throughout much of the day. So not cold, but definitely on the cool side, especially for this time of year when we should easily see temperatures in the upper 60s and low 70s. High temperatures today, again, on the cool side. 61 in Sioux City and Lamar today, 62 in Wayne, Norfolk, and Yankton, 62 in Cherokee today, and 61 in Spencer and Carroll. Overnight tonight, we'll see temperatures drop down into the mid to upper 30s. So another chilly night throughout Siouxland tonight with quiet weather. It looks like tomorrow is going to be another nice day similar to today, but by Thursday and Friday, it looks like we'll see clouds moving in and the chance of rain as well. Details on that in the 9 on 9 forecast. Sophie?
All right, thanks, Marcus. And as the renovation of Chris Larson Park continues, there's now an opportunity for a historic site to be officially commemorated. After the burial of Sergeant Floyd, the Corps of Discovery made the camp at the north mouth of the Floyd River. And now that area will become a historical landmark, this with the help of some local historians.
I just felt it was an opportune time. It's an opportune location. It hadn't been utilized before. Let's take advantage of the opportunity and do it.
The site will have informational plaques available and a large memorial stone placed sometime in the summer of 2022. And summertime is just around the corner this year, and a local camp is making some preparations. Camp High Hopes is gearing up for 2 different offerings, day camps and the summer sleepaway camps. Both of those begin in the middle of June. A few hundred people are expected to come out for the sessions. You could see what the camp still needs to scratch off its to-do list before opening in our digital exclusive story. It's online right now for you at SiouxlandProud.com or the KCAU 9 mobile news app. And if you're traveling over the Memorial Day weekend, expect lots of company. AAA Auto Club says that more than 37 million Americans are planning to travel at least 50 miles over the holiday weekend. So if that forecast is correct, that'll mean a 60% increase over last year, when many people were still locked down and at home. The forecast would still be a decrease of roughly 13% since the same holiday weekend before the pandemic. AAA does expect most holiday travelers to go by car. It's about 34 million people. Well, lots of questions are being asked about the impact of the massive cyber attack on one of the nation's largest fuel pipelines. Some drivers now along the east coast of the U.S. are heading to the pump only to find the gas tanks are empty. ABC's Faith Abube brings us the latest on the situation.
A high demand for gas fueling long lines that are wrapping around service stations and in some places even stretching down the street.
I've went to like 6 different stations and nobody's got any gas.
Several gas stations reporting their pumps have already run dry. North Carolina declaring a state of emergency.
We are completely out of diesel and gas.
Racetrack, a gas station chain with 550 stations across the Southeast, also seeing some outages and warning of potential issues in several states. Governor Brian Kemp has signed a new executive order prohibiting price gouging. The order also suspends Georgia's gas tax for drivers through Saturday. This as concerns grow about how much longer before Georgia-based Colonial Pipeline, the fuel company that suffered the crippling cyber attack, is back online. Colonial supplies 45% of all the fuel consumed on the East Coast and has been offline since a group of hackers believed to be based in Russia forced its hand on Friday. The company says it's aiming to restore its network before the end of the week.
This is potentially the most substantial and damaging attack on U.S. critical infrastructure ever.
Experts say the longer it takes to get Colonial back online, the wider the impact on jet fuel for airplanes, to diesel for trucks, to a potential slowdown in the COVID vaccine supply chain.
The cyber vulnerabilities can be exploited by very small groups with small amounts of funding. It is the ultimate asymmetric threat.
Several companies have embraced remote work during this pandemic, but returning to the office is inevitable for many people. We're taking a look at why and how it might still look different coming up in a few minutes.
And it looks like we're going to have partly cloudy skies with pleasant temperatures continuing, seasonal highs in the 60s, and rain likely as we head into the weekend. Details on all of that after the break.
You're watching KCAU 9 News with Sophie Erber and meteorologist Marcus Beasley. This is KCAU 9 News at 5.
Getting kind of used to still wearing a light jacket, especially if you're out and about in the morning hours, where today you and Scott were warning to cover the plants overnight.
Yeah, it dropped down to 31 degrees this morning, so it was slightly below freezing. So yeah, hopefully you did cover your plants up if you had some plants outside that you were worried about. The view outside right now from the KCAU 9 studio, brought to you by the Port Neal Welding Company, showing that we are seeing more clouds than blue skies out there. A few pockets of blue showing through, but for the most part, we're still seeing some sunshine here throughout Siouxland. Between those clouds, it does look like overnight tonight we'll have partly cloudy skies, but a quiet night on hand for us. Temperatures outside right now, they're in the lower 60s at 61 in Lamar's and Sioux City, 62 in Wayne, Norfolk, and Yankton, as well as Cherokee, 61 degrees in Spencer right now, and Carroll also at 61, 59 in Denison. Wind speeds are really light, around 5 to 10 miles per hour for most of us. 10-mile-per-hour winds out of the southeast here in Sioux City, 3 in Wayne, calm winds in Norfolk, 12-mile-per-hour winds in Yankton, 3-mile-per-hour winds in Orange City, and 6 there in 68 degrees on Thursday, 64 on Friday with a 60% chance of rain, 67 Saturday, a 30% chance of showers, a 40% chance there on Sunday. And it looks like as we head into next work week, we'll see some warmer temperatures, more normal for this time of year, right around 70 degrees there on Monday of next week, and we'll stay in the lower to mid 70s throughout the middle part of next week. So we do have some warmth on the way. And this bird right here just hanging out in the tree, enjoying some sunshine. This right here is a Swainson's thrush. Never heard of that type of bird before, but he's just hanging out there having a good time in the sunshine in the tree. A very great springtime image. And if you have any photos to send our way, as always, SiouxlandProud.com is the place you can go to upload those pictures on the weather tab. So send some pictures for us to show everyone.
Another bird watching photo I am highly impressed with.
Yeah, it seems like we have several Siouxland bird watchers.
That's right. Thanks a lot, Marcus, for that one. Well, a new installment of Veterans Voices coming up tonight for you at 10, and we're always taking nominations for who we should feature next. So if you know a veteran with a story to tell, we'd like for you to email us. That's veteransvoices@kcautv.com. And some people designate a whole room in their house to one of their interests, but one man is filling up a plane. How he renovated it into the perfect getaway space, coming up. But first, there's a new desk on the market, and it's designed to create a safe workspace. How it could help companies get employees back into an office, next. For many people, working from home became the new norm when the pandemic hit. Now that's beginning to change, and people are slowly returning to their places of work. But how will the office of the present and future look? Dan Daru gives us a look at how.
For months now, downtown Denver has been a ghost town. Thousands upon thousands of employees working from home.
Completely shut down, not just us, but it shut down the entire city.
But slowly, the ghosts are leaving and human beings are returning to get to work. For Officescape's market developer Frank Harney, workers returning to work is only inevitable.
I definitely think it's inevitable. I mean, it's how do companies, how are they going to onboard new people? Again, where's that transfer of knowledge going to come from if we're not live in the office? Where does that creative spirit come from?
That spirit is certainly there for Brandy Tetley.
The overall well-being of us mentally, physically, and stuff like that. So I love being here. I want to be here every day.
Once you're actually inside, it definitely gets quieter.
Barry Carson from Mojo Desk has developed a workspace that provides security for office workers, physically and perhaps more importantly, emotionally.
It's kind of naturally antibacterial, so it really serves a great purpose for the COVID cough and sneeze protection.
Frank Harney says team building, learning from other employees, and company identity are sacrificed when working from home.
Mentally, I think that becomes very, very hard on us when we don't have human interaction, and we never get to leave our house. We're stuck in our house now 24/7. It's been very hard the last year.
If nothing else, says Harney, workers need to come back for moral sake.
No matter how many passengers board, this plane never takes off. You'll see why. And you could say it's on an extended Louisiana layover. Why it's the perfect man cave now, next. An old plane got some new life. A Louisiana man made it his own man cave. Bill Wood shows us why it's a perfect space for this air traffic controller.
Andy Cook is one comfortable guy. on a Louisiana layover inside what's left of a retired, renovated, old New Orleans Hornets Boeing 727 plane.
Cleaned it up, put new carpet from Lowe's in it. I've added some LED lights.
And he gave it a makeover.
I've added a refrigerator in here with Cokes and water.
To make it his man cave. In real life, in the control tower at the Homa Terrebonne Airport. And he's an air traffic controller. On the job every day, up close and personal with planes. And here at home, where your address is actually an aisle seat, unless you'd rather sit by the window.
This has always been a dream to have something like this, and I think we're all kind of kids at heart, even as adults. As this airplane is set up, this is probably where the coaches sat.
The old jet was just sitting in a junkyard when Andy saved the only part of the plane not checking in at the gate for scrap metal.
Oh, excuse me, your turn.
He made it his own little piece of paradise and landed right in his own backyard.
The cockpit still has a flight engineer station in it, which was...
His plane looked more like this when it flew for the NBA, for New Orleans, and for two other teams. Cross country, coast to coast. A lot of miles, a lot of memories.
You know, the airplane represents back in a time when it was just as much about the journey as the destination.
Taking a live look outside right now in downtown Sioux City. Marcus returns with one more check on your forecast. Before wrapping up at 5, let's check in now with you, Tim, for what's coming up at 6.
Hey, good afternoon, Sophie. A high-profile Iowa murder case is set to be televised, so folks across the state will be able to watch it on a daily basis. We'll have the details of which trial that is coming up here after World News Tonight. Also at 6, takeout adult beverages have been a part of the pandemic. Now restaurants and bars with liquor licenses will be allowed to deliver cocktails going forward. What prompted the governor to sign off on that measure coming up in just a bit. And the Transportation Security Administration says that Mother's Day was the biggest travel day since the pandemic began. We'll take a look at what the summer travel season looks like. That's all after World News Tonight. Yet another indication that folks are ready to get back out there. Sophie, I don't know if you've tried to get a rental car for any of your summer travel plans, but that's another indication. Rental cars very tough to find these days in some locations.
I've heard that exact story actually from my own mom and sister who just arrived in Florida last night. Almost zero inventory. So good news for the economy, bad news for some consumers, and not the best news in the weather department unless you enjoy these chillier temps.
Yeah, it's on the cooler side tonight. Again, 35 degrees for your low temperature, maybe some patchy frost out there, so cover those plants up. But warmer tomorrow, 67 degrees with some sunshine.
All right, good news there. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you for joining us. We hope you'll join us again at 6. Good night.